Hey, we're going to get right into this. Ana Navarro pretty much calls out this right-wing Emily fool for saying she was hysterical over the AP press issue. Let's get right into it.
Photographer was still allowed in, the AP photographer, right? Because the president still wants his photo taken.
Pictures, just
he wants
not
the
the
pictures,
words.
but not the words. This is a First Amendment violation, and I expect in the next few days the AP will file suit. And they have a very strong case in court. This is yet another example where the courts will be the recourse for presidential action.
Brian, what are the other media outlets doing?
Right now,
Yeah.
they're still showing up, they're still asking questions, but that's right, the Correspondents Association has condemned this and called it unacceptable. I think you're suggesting maybe reporters should, what, skip the briefing?
Should band together, because, I
Skip
mean,
the,
listen,
Q&As?
if the bully manages to bully one, he's not going to stop at one.
I don't think this is as emotional as you're making it out to be. You know, take away the hysteria for a moment. First off, Trump doesn't need
Who's
AP
being
to
hysterical?
Take, both of you. Trump doesn't need, first of all, AP
You
to
obviously
take his
don't know what a
photographs.
hysterical Ana Navarro is
I
like.
just believe it comes down to compliance.
That's true,
Trump
actually.
put out an executive order. There was an executive order. He changed the name legally to Gulf of America. They're United States-based. I know they're international as well, but right now they're covering U.S. politics. So if he makes an executive order, they should respect that. And if they don't, being there is not a right, it's a privilege.
He
And
said
I'm just
there-
gonna-
I'm going to add in here, though, that this has been called the Gulf of Mexico for 400 years,
Right.
and every other nation calls it the Gulf of Mexico. So just
they're-
because Trump
they're
claims that
operating
we
out of the
need to...
United States.
Okay, but doesn't this feel like a really weird, like, wokeism thing on the right? Like, it feels like the right's version of, like, Latinx or, like, birthing person. It just
Well,
feels like a
we
really
had to
weird
comply
hill
with
to
that.
die on.
Nobody,
that we're gonna,
by the way, just to be
we're
clear,
gonna force
nobody had
outlets
to
to cover it.
comply with any of that.
Yeah, if the
I don't think I've ever
Biden, if
said
the
the words
Biden
birthing person.
administration did that,
And if they
Till now.
did,
People
I
would be
think
up in arms.
your heads would be exploding at this table.
Maybe they
If
should,
someone said to
they
you,
should
you've got
call
to
it
refer to people as
they should
birthing
adopt
people.
the Prince method. Just have a little symbol called the Gulf, formerly known as the Gulf of Mexico, which should now be called whatever the hell.
But there's a much broader,
The Gulf of whatever the hell he wants.
but there's a much broader danger. Today it's the Gulf of Mexico or the
Right.
Gulf of America. Tomorrow, what is it? The president says there's only two genders in this world. We all know transgender people. What happens when the AP reports on transgender Americans? What happens when CNN or ABC or the New York Times?
Okay,
Are those the next
what if
outlets to
I
be
believe
punished?
that there's two genders and then Biden tells me that there's 73? What, I don't comply with that.
Yeah, but
the Biden
But again,
administration isn't barring Fox News from covering press conferences.
Right, he's not going to ban you from
And Trump
coming into
hasn't
the
done
White
that
House
yet.
because
This
you
is
have a
what I
different
mean
belief.
about
Well,
Larry.
for the last 2 days, the AP has been blocked from attending events that it's
People will not
attended for
comply with the
decades.
executive
No,
order.
I really
you want
would
the
rather you
president to do that?
not refer to me
To ban AP?
as hysterical for expressing an opinion. I think that's incredibly disrespectful. I don't do it to you.
Why do you think the AP won't just call it the Gulf of America? I mean,
That's
the
petty
president
to me.
does
let me
rename
just-
things. We rename what's the mountain, Denali, Mount McKinley.
Let me
things get renamed from time to
let me
time.
read their explanation for why they are not doing it. Essentially, they are saying that Mexico. The Trump's order only carries authority within the United States. Mexico, as well as other countries and international bodies, do not have to recognize that name change. The Gulf of Mexico has carried that name for 400 years. As was said at the table, and the Associated Press is going to refer to it by its original name, while acknowledging that Trump has a new name that he would like to call it. They are an international organization. No one except Trump with a pen has said that it's the Gulf of America. It's a body of water that also has borders with another country, and it's been named that for 400 years.
I know, but we have a lawful process in this country for changing the name of it. The president went through it with the Secretary of the Interior, by the way.
That they are based out of the U.S. I get that they're an international organization. It's simply they're not reporting on the truth. So now if you're the president, you can argue they're not
But
reporting
Emily,
the truth.
wouldn't
so why
you
are they
agree that the
qualified to be
truth
here?
is also that the rest of the world calls it the Gulf
So
of Mexico?
technically, every other country
you
could change the name of it too in their own country. Then the journalists should comply with whatever their country
but
wants
Emily,
to call
wouldn't
it.
you agree that the truth is also that every other country in the world calls it the Gulf of Mexico?
That's fine, but Donald Trump put an executive order to
which
change
truth
it.
do you care about?
I care about the American truth.
Okay.
the
So let's
American
just be
truth
clear
is that
about it.
Trump
You
changed
only
the name.
care about
So
the
US
version of
journalists-
truth that Donald Trump
I believe
says is
compliance.
This feels like a really
A
weird
US
hill to
journalist-
die on and something to get quite hysterical over. It feels like it's actually ridiculous.
weird
that
how
this
that-
is a
It's the opposite of a hill.
Why is
It's
he
a
dying on
slippery
this
slope.
hill?
Hang on a second, Brian.
I agree. We have bigger
guys,
things to focus
I do
on.
want to talk about one
beyond.
very important thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of treatment of the media, the FCC is going after media companies.
Yes.
They're going.
Yeah, Anna was right. She wasn't being hysterical. No one was being hysterical. But because this can escalate. It's ridiculous that first you change the Gulf of Mexico, the name. He probably even know what America means anyway. Then you expect everybody to just obey this. It's been around for 400 years. Everybody else still uses Gulf of Mexico. I don't even want to get into how ridiculous this is. And they just act like, who's hysterical? Even though they're calm, they're mentally hysterical is the girl. And of course, the guy who always just falls in line, he's just a sad sack on CNN every night. He got help from the girl tonight. They were their right-wing pundits. I guess you could say they were tokens on CNN. But they're just jokes, man. If Trump came to her house and set a bomb outside it, or I don't know, I take that back. He came to her house and pissed on the door. They lick it off. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. They found a good excuse for it, you know. It's just very sad. It's a joke. And the AP doesn't want to say Gulf of America, so you still want the cameraman there so he can take your picture. It's how vain and shallow you are. But you don't want them in. People, you have to recognize how ridiculous all of this is. And by the way, eggs are still expensive. And everything is. That's all I got.